Welcome to Clicks and Coffee. I'm Alexander, and here we dive deep into the journeys of entrepreneurs and marketing innovators. Each episode, we uncover the challenges, triumphs, and unique strategies of our amazing guests, giving you valuable insights and inspiration. Our goal is to build a community of growth oriented professionals ready to learn, collaborate, and thrive in the ever evolving world of digital marketing. So, whether you're here for the latest trends or looking for that next big idea, you've come to the right place. Let's get started. And today we're joined by Jeff Holman, the founder of Intellectual Strategies, a law firm specializing in intellectual property and business strategy. With a background in electrical engineering, law, and business, Jeff has a unique ability to help innovators and businesses protect and leverage their intellectual property. His firm has assisted startups and established companies in building valuable IP portfolios and navigating complex legal landscapes. In this episode, we'll explore Jeff's journey, the importance of IP strategy in business growth, and how he uses digital marketing to connect with clients and share his expertise. Jeff, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Alexander. It's great to be with you.
All right, so that was a pretty good intro, and I think this episode is going to be very good. I would say on like a strategy level. So, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you came up with intellectual strategy and like how did it get to where it is today?
Yeah, for sure. There's kind of a long story, so I'll cut some pieces out for now, but we can always go back and look at it in more detail if you want to. So my background, as you mentioned, is legal because I have a law degree. It's engineering. I have an electrical engineering degree, and it's business. I've got an MBA. So I've tried to cover the bases with my at least with my academic learning. But I've also done that because I've combined all of those together into the way that I practice law now. So I run a company called Intellectual Strategies. I started this. It's been going in different versions, but the latest iteration is for the last 5 years. We've been doing what I call a fractional legal team for startups and scale-ups, and we can dive into that a little bit more as we go. But I practiced law at a large firm in Silicon Valley for a couple of years, helping inventors with their patents. I then broke out on my own. I tend to be what some people have called ungovernable. I think that's a good thing. And so I lean into that. I think it goes well with the where we've eventually ended up with our practice, which is really focusing on startups and scaling businesses. I've done, patent work helping build IP portfolios for IBM and large companies like that in the past. It's great work in some ways, but it's not as fulfilling as working in the chaos of startups. So, so I will say my career has gone from Silicon Valley law firm patents to running my own firm to getting my MBA to starting intellectual strategies, going in-house, working for a funded startup, and now doing what I'm doing today. So I really enjoy it.
Listen, it's a particular personality that you need to have, and it's good that we have people like you because, as you say, when it's like chaos and things are moving at not 100 miles per hour, but like 200 miles per hour, it's like, how do I do this? No, and it is pretty amazing. Talking about this, I saw that you were the general counsel for Pillow Cube, which is, a pretty. I don't know if we can call it a startup now, but it's a pretty good e-commerce success story. And
It's a
I
fun
see,
company for sure. I was just
yeah.
texting with Jay and Joey over there this morning about some things.
Are you still yeah, you're still working for them, right? You're still like part of their legal team.
Yeah, yeah. So with our model, we and I'll just explain it so people have a little bit of frame of reference. Our outside, so some people are familiar with fractional CFOs or fractional CMOs and those things, right? Somebody who comes in on a part-time basis, sort of acts as part of your legal team, or in that case, your finance team, your marketing team. They might be your CMO. They just aren't there full time. They're there on a fractional basis. So we do the same thing, more or less in the legal field. In the legal side of things, you hear people talking about outside general counsel. So you get somebody who's in a law firm and they are hired on a kind of regular basis to be the general counsel for a company that's a company of the law firm. So we do that, but we do it differently. We actually bring a small team of 5 attorneys to be the fractional legal team. So you don't just hire Jeff, you hire Jeff and the other four attorneys all together. It's basically like getting a fully staffed in-house legal team in your business on a fractional basis. So that's what we do. So yeah, I'm general counsel for Pillow Cube and some other companies. Our team services multiple companies at the same time, and we're very integrated into those companies, very collaborative with those companies, and
And
very,
proactive. I think that's the biggest difference between an outside general counsel and a
oh
fractional.
yeah.
I would say a counsel, it's, outside is like, oh, I have this problem. Can you please help? With you, it would be more okay. If you do that, you're gonna have this problem. So this is what you
We
should be
that is
covering.
that is the goal. Yeah, for sure. We've really tried to, and you'll appreciate this because you talk about strategy. When we've built this in a way that's tried to open up those doors so that our clients, the worst thing for us as attorneys, in my perception, is when a client doesn't want to call us, right? They're like, oh, well, you're going to charge me for a phone call, or you're going to like they don't call us, and so we get very limited interactions with them. We don't know the whole business. We just do slices of work when it's a problem, and we don't see all the other sides of it. The way we've structured our business is really meant to overcome that, to remove those barriers, and like you say, just be very, very available, very connected, and very proactive with the legal issues in the business, which we think is a strategic advantage for the businesses that we help.
No, but every business will, what people should try to achieve is to be as proactive as possible and not reactive, because reactive, it can create bigger problems. Because if it's a little too late, no matter what you do, it's too late. The deed has been done. And so
Yeah.
so since you specialize in really like companies that are, I would say, a little bit in chaos, what are the things like in general that you come up and start cleaning up, or like what are the main thing that people should be interested, I would say, in talking to you? What would be, because legal is a lot of things, and a lot of the time, unless you're a big company, you don't really have, a fractional legal team, or
Mhm.
it's more of like outside. And I'm talking for myself. Unfortunately, I'm not there yet, working on it. But I know, like, for example, with my other company, I'm trying to do a contest and, a raffle or something, and I need to make sure I have the proper rules. So I go and talk to my lawyer and, make sure I
Yep.
don't do stupid things or promise, things that it could be landing me in problems. Or same thing with, like, if there is a problem with pricing. So for example, I don't, let's not name it, but a pillow, e-commerce startup. What are the
Yeah.
things that, like, you're helping them, I would say, achieving on daily basis in order for them to strategically grow?
Yeah, so we'll talk generally. This doesn't necessarily apply to PillowCube per se, but we help a lot of companies in a lot of the same ways, and it's a great question. What I'll do is, if you don't mind, let me separate out because we kind of have a distinction in my mind between first-time founders and second-time founders, right? First-time founders tend to fall behind the curve a lot. They don't know what they don't know. They're a lot more timid oftentimes with their funding. They're a lot more hesitant to bring attorneys in. So they tend to get a lot more skeletons in the closet. And so you end up having, you mentioned the word cleanup. I talk about cleanup all the time because people, founders, CEOs they'll go. This thing will come up and they'll be kind of like, well, I don't want to deal with that. They'll just put that off the side, right? And and then eventually, when they've got a closet full of those legal issues, and they might be, you know, threatened disputes, they might be employment issues, they might be you've promised somebody to grant them stock options, but you don't have the paperwork to actually do it. You might say, well, we haven't really protected our brand yet. We probably should, but I don't know when to do it. There's all these little things, and you're like, well, they pile up, right? And first time founders usually come to us when they've got a pile that's grown too big and they just can't stand it anymore. They're like, I need to have somebody clear this off for me. I need some cleanup, right? Second time founders are a lot more proactive. Second time founders have been through those things. They've had the skeletons in the closet before. They're like, I'm not doing that again. I want somebody to handle this proactively. I want somebody to take care of this before it becomes an issue because they know that cost wise, it's a lot easier to do up front. It's, you know, If you don't know that, then it's hard to spend the money and be like, well, I'm going to spend some money on on an expensive attorney, so you put it off. But cleanup is always more expensive than doing it right the first time. And so the way that we approach this, you asked what are the types of things that we might do for companies. Um, Fortunately, the way that we've structured our team, and it's been very intentional and deliberate, is that our attorneys can essentially do 95% of what every startup needs from the time they're an idea through the time that they get big funding. And so, that covers a lot of things. If I were to break it down into playbooks, for example, I would say, well, the first thing we typically do is we've got corporate issues, starting a business, managing the business, doing your minutes, doing your board meetings, all of that stuff, getting your stock together, the fundraising, if you have investors, you're doing safe agreements, the kind of all the corporate side of things. Then you have the team, and you say, well, how are we bringing people in? Are we giving stock options? Are we doing vesting of some sort? Are we using good documentation for hiring? If we need to transition somebody out, aka fire them or whatever, are we doing that properly that doesn't create risks and exposure for us? So there's all the team issues. Then you've got your strategic
NDAs, all
assets.
this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so you've got your IP and your trademarks and your patents. So it really, there's a lot of different buckets. I call them, startup milestones. You've got these business milestones and all these business milestones, like on your roadmap, whatever those business milestones are, grow, expand, customers, whatever. There's going to be some legal things that go along with those milestones.
So, so that's your way of nicely saying that's the word transitioning somebody out. I didn't hear that one. But it's also you want to say it in a way that is as less negative as possible. I would say because it's always a negative word. So put it nicely. Yeah. So basically, the whole like the really good thing about you is that we don't have to go to either like a huge law firm that would cost thousands of dollars per hour, but we don't also have to go and find every time a lawyer that specializes in every type of law. I would say it's really with you. It's like more than just a person. It's like a whole team that has yeah, that has the type of knowledge that you need in all different aspects of running a business, scaling a business, operating a business. And
Yeah, that's for sure the way we do it. And I'll tell you a quick story if you don't mind. The
oh, of
when
course,
I
of
when
course.
I went from
I want you to tell me all the stories you want, but I know that like legally you have to be
Oh no, this is
careful.
my own story. This is the story about when I realized I was doing things the wrong way. So, I had my own law firm for a while, had employees. We were doing a lot of patent work at the time. And when this as part of that transition from doing patent work into doing more of the general counsel startup work that I do today, that I really enjoy, I went and got my MBA, as I mentioned, and then I went and I had this plan, this 5-year plan. I'm going to go from running my own firm, joining a general practice firm, meaning a firm that does broader business stuff than just patents, building my way up, building my expertise, and then in 5 years or so, I'll become general counsel at a company. Well, I went down that path and I joined this law firm, this general practice law firm, and instead of taking 5 years, it was 5 months before somebody came and said, "Hey, we want to hire you into this business as our first attorney." So I'm like, "Hey." The recruiter called and I'm like, "Well, you're like 4.5 years earlier than I was planning on." So, but I made the jump anyways. The point though is this: when I went into that general counsel role at the company, 2 weeks into that, I'd been hired. Like I got the role I wanted. 2 weeks into that, I said to myself, I've been practicing for 15 years and I've been doing it the wrong way. This is not like I've been practicing in a law firm the way that other attorneys taught me to practice law. That was clearly not the way that clients, especially small clients who are moving fast, like you mentioned, that's not what they needed. They don't need every T crossed, every I dotted, everything in memo form. Like they need someone who can move fast, they can understand the business, and that can make good enough decisions to identify risk, minimize risk, but help the business continue to progress because we can't block the business from making money. That would ruin the whole business. And I said to myself 2 weeks into this job, I'm like, man, I've been doing this the wrong way for 15 years. Why would I do that? It was crazy. Um, And so that realization really kind of set me on a path from that point on. That was in late 2015. From that point on, I said, I'm not doing it the way I was taught, right? I'm going to do it the way that my clients need it. And that's really set the vision for how we practice, and why we do the things that we do. And when you kind of interlace that experience with my background in business strategy, and I start to say, well, we need to like be very strategic how we build our business, how we interact with clients, how we bill, how we communicate. Like all of that stuff comes into play in the way that it, it's all designed around what clients need rather than how do I maximize my billing time or something like that.
Yeah, no, so it's a true entrepreneurial story of like,
Oh yeah,
entrepreneurs
where I'm
always
as
like
much of an
experience
entrepreneur.
something. Yeah, experience something that like I need to fix this. Like, what am I doing? Okay, we need to change this. And no, it's a really cool story. It's really cool story. And so you just mentioned, about growing the business. So, since we're in the digital marketing or at least a marketing podcast, I would be super curious to see, because of the fact that it's something very innovative, of you have to shift like the thought process of people hiring you, of like, it's not, you're not going to call me and be like, hey Jeff, can you help me with that, or hey, I have this problem, can you help me? It's going to be more like, hey Alex, this is Jeff. You're part-time, you need to get on this. I'm going to write a document, get me this and this info, and I'll gather the things, so we make sure that we protect ourselves, and really work like that. So how did you manage to, from the first clients to today, of shifting that mentality of people talking to you, and then reaching out to new customer, for new clients or new partners?
Yeah. I'll tell you the end of the story first, then I'll jump back for a second. But the end of the story, legal marketing is almost all referral relationship based, right? The at least the way we do it. It's not super high volume. It's not CPG based or like selling courses or something where you just blast everybody and you're like, everybody hire us, pay us $79, and we have a margin, and it's a one-time transaction. That's not how we practice, right? So it's all about building long-term relationships.
So
You
not
know,
like
that's
personal injury marketing.
it's a lot different from personal injury. Yeah, some people,
Because personal injury is like the billboards all over the place, like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah. So
really
so it's
blasting
not that
marketing
way,
everywhere.
and that's a good. I'm glad you brought that up. I was actually at a conference last week in Atlanta for 2 days. That was 80% personal injury attorneys. They fall into a category that we call B2C legal services, right? It's B2C. Ours is not. Ours is more B2B. Ours is that relationship based, longer term stuff, and so it makes a huge difference in how we do stuff and why we rely on relationships more than. I've tried social media marketing. I've tried I have a blog. I post a lot on LinkedIn, and those are all good for awareness purposes, but it's different than a lot of the traditional relationship things that we do. But the thing I wanted to note is that we struggle in a sense with the same thing that a lot of new disruptive companies struggle with, because our way of practicing law as a fractional legal team, like I keep preaching this. I'm like, you guys need to do this. Like law firms should be practicing with startups as fractional legal teams. It just makes sense. It's the right thing to do. And so far, nobody's taken me up on it. But I'm convinced it's the right way to practice, and we're going to see a lot more of it. But we fall into the same category as maybe like we've mentioned pillow cube as a pillow cube, right? Pillow cube is a square pillow of sorts. And so you have this new type of pillow. Well, what do they struggle with? Well, they struggle with um, communicating to the market what their product is. And I'm not saying they struggle with this, but new products in general struggle with this, right? How do you communicate to the market what your product is when it's new and different from what they're used to, right? If you're used to round pillows or fluffy pillows or whatever it is, how do you tell them that a square pillow is better? If you're used to, hiring one attorney at a big law firm and paying hourly rates and that's just the way it is, and somebody comes along and says, well, you can hire our whole team for a flat retainer every month, and you get all the services you need under one roof. You don't have to hire any more attorneys for a long time. Like that's a different way to do it, right? And so in the corollary I want to make is in the trademark world, we counsel a lot of clients on trademarks. And a lot of clients say, well, what's the best way to get my mark? What type of trademark should I choose? And I say, well, there's two sides. You can choose one that's really clearly saying what you do as a company, or you can choose one that is not really clear, but probably will get protected easier because you get easier protection if you're unique, right? So unique is better for legal protection, but more general, descriptive, generic is better for telling the market what you do. And so you have to decide which one are you going for. And I will oftentimes tell my clients, listen, an easy solution to this is, and it's something a lot of my clients will do, is I'm like, pick a really unique name. Let's protect your name. Let's build over time a brand around that unique name. And I haven't done any digging into Cantaloupe, but that strikes me as a unique name. I don't know what it means. I don't know that it means anything descriptive about what you guys do, but that's a unique name. And so I say, pick a unique name that we can easily trademark. It will have very little value right now because it's your job over time to build value around that brand. But in the meantime, with that unique name, let's put a really descriptive tagline, you know, Pantaloupe, the marketing and PPC company for everybody or whatever, right? It's like, okay, well, I don't know what Pantaloupe means, but I know that Pantaloupe does marketing and SEO and PPC for everybody. That starts the process of building a connection between your unique name that you can protect and the description of services that you provide, right? So in our case, I would say intellectual strategies, which there's a whole story around how I got that name trademarked, and I love it, but we won't dig into
Oh,
that.
you managed to
Intellectual,
trademark the name. Wow, okay. That's pretty
oh
good
yeah,
because it's very so from my research is because when I so with my other business I call all security equipment, talking about like generic terms, um
uh-huh.
allsecurity.equipment.com, I had a hard time getting it trademarked for Amazon because at Amazon, if you want your store
Were you
page, you have to go. So we managed to do it as allsecurity.equipment.com, which is like what we trademarked at the end. So at the time I didn't know your services, but we worked with like a IP company that was
uh-huh.
allowed. But yeah, it's
But you were probably selling security equipment, right?
yes, but they were
Yeah,
saying the problem
also
is like it's too generic.
it's too descriptive of the stuff of what you're selling. And so if I called it intellectual property law firm, I'd never be able to trademark it, right? Because that just tells you what it is, and everybody else needs to be able to use those same words to tell you to say that they're also IP law firms. So I switched it to intellectual strategies because there's a combination of intellectual property, which I have a very deep background in, and business strategy. Now, it just turns out that the phrase intellectual strategies, nobody really uses that anywhere, right? It's not there's a couple places, but nobody uses it, and they don't use it for law firms. So I actually, adopted that. But then people, even my friends, they're like, no, what is it you do? What is intellectual strategies? It doesn't sound like a law firm. I'm like, well, we are a law firm, sort of. I tease them a little bit, right? Because they don't even know what it means until I tell them we're a law firm and the way we practice is this. So intellectual strategies, but we're a law firm for innovators, or we're a fractional legal team for startups. Like there are phrases that I can put with my name to help make that relationship. Now, the reason I'm saying all of this is going back to your question, like that relationship that we're building between our name and our services is a corollary to what we do in real life with marketing. Like we have a fractional legal team. People don't really know what it means. Maybe they could kind of guess, but they don't really know. And so we have to go out and we say, we're a fractional legal team. By the way, this is what that means. And so the marketing, the relationship building part of that is being out there. We're out there on LinkedIn and we're out there doing some webinars and stuff like that, but it's really with our clients, our own clients that we've had for years. We're like, by the way, did you know that we do this? And did you know that we can, help you in these other areas? Because they might call us for trademarks or patents or start their business. They might call us for one thing that they heard that we do. And then we have to tell them very clearly, by the way, when your company grows to the right point, we've actually got a whole team and you can hire our whole team. We call it a fractional legal team. We're building that connection in their mind between the types of services we do and the phrase fractional legal team. And so that's I think a kind of a cool analogy between trademark law and the stuff that we do for our own clients and the way that we market by building those same relationships between the words we use and the services we do so that we have, to strengthen the relationships between our team and our clients. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, no, totally. And then for sure that's that because of the fact that is, I would say, so integrated into a business, it can be, yeah, a little difficult to just go on Google Ads and have people search fractional legal team. But
Nobody's doing it. Nobody's doing it yet.
yeah, yeah, yet. It's always the same problem. It's yet. And
Yep.
then have you ever tried to do because I imagine the point of your business is not to stay where you are and keep growing, but on B2B strategies, have you ever done a cold outreach of like trying to find people and then trying to market like that, or it's really like what you've seen so far that only yield results would be word of mouth referral and things like that?
For I don't know that we've done cold outreach. We've done some Facebook ads. We've tried to create some campaigns and some videos and some assets where we put them out there on Facebook and Instagram, and we say, "Hey, we're a fractional legal team. This is what we do." Candidly, that hasn't worked for us. I don't think we're reaching our right market, or we're not using the right messaging. You know, like I know that in your field, the more you can iterate, A/B test things, the better you can dial in the results. And I don't know that we know how to A/B test our own messages in that channel. So we've done some of it, but not with great success. We just do a lot more warm intros. I think today I got 2 emails from people and a text last night, and they're all saying, "Hey Jeff, this is I don't need to use their real names. This is Alex, this is Chris, this is Mike, whoever. I wanted to introduce you to him. I told him about the way you're working with us on our contracts and just wanted to connect, or whatever." So there's a lot of that, and so we're really digging into that at this point in time. Now, if I was smarter, I would be doing the SEO optimization at the same time, and I would probably be doing a few other things at the same time. But uh, maybe it's an ignorance on my part in the marketing world. Maybe it's a resource issue. I don't know. There's I'm
Usually
excited to
it's
get
more of a
more.
resource issue than anything, and that's why, we exist as well as a fractional marketing marketing team.
Yeah, exactly,
But yeah,
exactly.
no, it's just it's marketing. It's work, and a lot of it people think is just putting a couple of campaigns together and then that's it. But there is a lot more that goes into it between, yeah, as you said, SEO, and then figuring out what is the right messaging, what is the right A/B testing, what is the right sample size as well for testing, because we had some people that are like, "Oh yeah, I would like to test this, idea, and I have $1,000 per month." And I'm like, "Yeah, but $1,000 in your field is like clearly nothing. It's
Yeah,
you're just gonna waste the money." And we already had people asking to do tests, and I say honestly, you're better off like getting 1,000 cards and then giving them to people going to a conference, or like take that $1,000, go to a conference, and then like give your card to people. That would be a more effective way to talk about your business than spending $1,000 or spending this. Some people it would work. Some for local business maybe $1,000 could yield some result, but for a national company like you can't. It's that would be
yeah.
too little budget, unfortunately. Now it's costing more and more to just get started. And when I don't know if you listen, but during the presidential campaign, I heard the uh, last, I would say, effort in order to try to sway the election one way or another. And they were spending, but like 10 million or something like that in just a
Oh,
week
yeah,
on
yeah,
on
yeah.
digital
It
marketing
didn't.
ads. Just digital marketing ads. Crazy.
It's amazing. Yeah, no, and you need those budgets. In a lot of ways, I think that you have maybe a tougher job than I do because people come to me because they need something legal. They don't want to hire me sometimes because they don't like the issue they're having, and they don't want to have to pay somebody to fix an issue they don't want to have in the first place. But they know they need somebody a lot of times. Whereas they're like, "Hey, I want this, but I don't have any resources, and so can you figure out a strategy to get me a bunch of clients for no money?" right?
Exactly. That's always the catch 22. It's like I want a lot of clients, but I don't want to invest money.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
and so to go back to your business, because I think it's a a great idea for a lot of startups to avoid problems in the future. What is for you, what is like the ideal clients that you like? If tomorrow, I say, hey, I might have a couple of people say, oh, we ideally work with this type of companies, just so
Yeah, that's a
people
great
can get
question.
like a can gauge the level of working with you as a fractional team. But you also do just regular legal work, so that's, I would say, like two
Yeah.
separate.
Yeah. So we work only with businesses, right? So we don't do any family law, criminal law, estate
Yeah, just
planning.
corporate law.
But just business stuff, first of all, the companies that tend to come to us the most, and we love working with them, e-commerce companies, SaaS companies, and other technology companies. They're a really good fit for our team because we do have a very extensive background in intellectual property, patents, trademarks, and such. So that ends up being a really good fit where we can actually leverage our expertise and bring additional value to those companies. Like I said, e-commerce, SaaS, tech, or the three. Now we also end up working with because of the referral basis, we end up working with some other companies that are peripheral to those companies, logistics companies, marketing agencies, things like that, that are working with e-commerce and SaaS companies oftentimes and providing services to them. They're in our same bucket, I would say, as to the companies that we typically end up working with. We do end up working with people from the idea stage, but they usually don't hire us on a fractional monthly retainer basis. They're more transactional. But our clients that are on fractional, they're the ones who I don't want to put a dollar amount to it because industries vary pretty greatly. But they're the people who come and work with us on fractional, and they're the ones who I kind of mentioned at the beginning, where the CEO said, I'm tired of losing sleep over legal issues that I'm avoiding. And those are the people that finally come and say, "Hey, I need an attorney. Someone said you can help me clear a bunch of this stuff up. I just need to clean up. When can you start?" That's how the conversation usually goes.
And then you teach them, okay, now the cleanup is done. Now let's make sure we don't have any, we avoid any type of cleanup.
Yeah, yep, for sure. So it usually starts with the cleanup and then continues on. And again, because of the way that we're structured, our team, is there to scale with their team. So as they grow, we can provide additional services. In some cases, they scale back, economies change or whatever, and we can scale back with them. So we really kind of have that longevity that is hard to have in some other situations. So it's a great way to practice. I really enjoy it.
But yeah, no, I totally agree. And with a background like yours, that really combines, I would say, the two things that you studied for, which is law and business, which is it's pretty exciting, and pretty exciting to be part of, I would say, e-commerce success stories like Pillow Cube, since, unfortunately I see them in my Facebook feed, or even LinkedIn. They do LinkedIn ads too, which is pretty fun. And it's very funny what they do. Like the commercials are really funny. It reminds me of the Dollar Shave Club. I don't know if you remember that company. That
Yep, yep. Well, so
hilarious.
that's a case where Jay Davis is an awesome guy. Jay Davis is the owner of Pillow Cube. He has a couple other companies that he owns. One of those is called Creatively, and I'll just pitch them here for you because Creatively has made some of those really funny commercials for Pillow Cube and other companies. They're a marketing agency, and you should check them out. I think you've probably seen, if you're seeing Pillow Cube ads, you've seen some of the other ads that Creatively has produced for other companies, and they do a great job. The Damien and the team over there are fantastic. So if anybody has questions about that, I would be happy to point them in the direction of Creatively for those services. Now they're not cheap services because they're very high quality, but for the right clients, they're totally worth it. So
And that's
another
not
company I
something
work
that
with.
that we could do with AI. So, a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, AI is gonna replace all the video ads and everything." And from what I've seen, they can do some interesting stuff, but having a real creative, you know, team is huge difference.
Yeah, yeah, and they're creative geniuses over there. They really are. So I love every time I've talked with them and they're like, "Oh, have you thought of this?" And I'm like, like that's so simple and elegant and awesome. So, it's pretty cool.
Cool. All right, Jeff, it was a true pleasure having you. I really wish you all the success, and hear about, or maybe not hear in the paper about legal troubles of your clients, but hear about the success stories. And so, if anybody needs, I would say right now the main thing is needs a fractional legal team, you can head over to intellectualstrategies.com and schedule a call with Jeff. And if you don't need a fractional legal team, but you need legal advice, feel free to also reach out to him, since, I would say in the digital world, you would be really well versed to help any business trying to grow.
Yeah, and we do a free 30-minute strategy call with prospective clients. So book a call, let's chat, tell me what your chaos is, and I'll tell you if we can clean it up.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks so much, Alexander. Been my pleasure.